because I think
a PA was sitting in the back with a cell phone, recorded it, and sent it out on the orders of some executive that knew exactly what they doing, because they trying to gauge people's reaction to this shit, and people are reacting the exact way you would expect them to react, which is
I'm recording their balls.
All this stuff.
I'm recording their balls.
Who cares about? Who gives a crap about who cares how? If you are enticed to come to a movie because you see the chairs of some actors who were in movies before, you probably need to get a hobby or really think about what's going on in your daily life, because that shouldn't be enough to get you to spend $30 on a movie ticket.
Well, it's a teaser, so I don't think that's necessarily the angle that they're approaching it from. So necessarily, it's a primer.
With that,
but tease is still a part of the marketing apparatus. I'm sorry, Cam. I just wanted to say tease is still a part of the marketing apparatus. So it's still 100% supposed to get you interested and want. It's starting that discourse. Here's something that's coming and that you will need to pay to see. But here's why you should be excited to pay to see it. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
the other Cam Square. How y'all doing? Happy New Year, by the way.
As well as
word, Big Josh. Happy New Year.
And bringing up the rear,
it's the professor. I would say Happy New Year, but I don't engage time the same way you guys do. So it could be the New Year.
Excuse me, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry. We live on Earth.
Yeah.
Happy Soul Cycle, perhaps.
Happy Soul Cycle. Happy Gregory calendar. I know it's the Gregorian calendar. I just call it.
I was going to say Gregory. What do you do?
Yeah,
I was about to rescind your professor's status.
Welcome to Blerdlines. And we also have guest host Dr. Manhattan with us in the top right panel.
Right?
Greetings.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday, 7:52. I am doing the podcast.
I am also having breakfast tomorrow morning. And I'm taking a shower yesterday.
Dr. Manhattan in the flesh.
And I'm taking a shower yesterday.
Yeah, 7:42. I am reading a book. But it's also 8:05 where I am taking a swim in Lake Monotone.
Oh, man.
The amount of random references in there, if you got all of them, you're pretty much our people.
You're on the right podcast. Clearly.
And because I said that, you can subscribe, follow, share it, all that good stuff.
Hey, Josh, did
it early. And now that we got all the jokes out the way, we can get to something sad and depressing. That's the Avengers Doomsday trailer teaser.
Wow.
The reason why I say it is because they've been just to give a quick overview. We have two teaser trailers that came out officially in front of a couple movies. I think it was Avatar and some other things. They also are released on YouTube. So on the official Marvel site, there's officially two teaser trailers. Unofficially, there's an X-Men one floating around. There's about 17,000 AI ones floating around. There's a bunch of it. How these mysteriously things leaked, who knows? But yeah. So what we decided to do is we're going to look at the two official ones, and then we'll talk about how they don't tell us anything. I'll talk to you after. We'll talk to you after the jump.
Father, all my life I have answered every call to honor, duty, to war. But now fate has given me something I never sought. A child, a life untouched by the storm. Lend me the strength of the old fathers, so that I may fight once more, defeat one more enemy,
like that. I do like that. I did like that. Oh, we're going right through them.
Okay, so everybody coming back with a kid? Like, is this what's happening? Second of all, I like how it's funny how they be like, Thor will be returning. I was like, man, I don't think Thor's ever left, even when there's not an Avengers movie. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so
yeah, but
like,
they do that at the end of some of the Marvel movies, like so and so.
No, I get what they're doing. It just looks funny to me. Thor will be returning like he was absent for like the last 8 movies.
No, it tells you that they have absolutely nothing by way of story that can allure people to this. We were originally it was announced that neither Thor, Chris Hemsworth, or Chris Evans was returning for these films.
Or RDJ, right.
Or Robert Downey Jr. And yet somehow within the last 3 years, they've brought all 3 of them back. And that's because this film will not draw without them, even though it probably would have if they had given it a chance, because it's still the Avengers. But they're showing that they don't know how to move on. And I feel like this is the same problem with adding the Fox X-Men characters in there. Who are we making these films for? Are we making them for the next generation? Or are we making them for people who are 38 and older, who probably, they will watch them, but they're not the main movie-going audience. So all I see with these 2 trailers is a mega conglomerate using AI to create these teasers simply to get people excited about something that's most likely not going to be good. And this is the only way that they can do it, by throwing big names and big characters who again, once upon a time were supposed to be going off into the sunset.
What's the over and under?
We don't have that.
I was going to say, sorry to cut you off. What's the over and under? We see T'Challa's son come up in the next.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a done deal. That's a given.
They throwing everything but the kitchen sink in at this point. Like that's going to be a thing. Point. To Dee's point, there's no confidence. Like right now. My biggest thing I would say to what Dee was saying is there's no confidence in what their plans are, right? And so they're showing this ahead of time where it's like where we're getting this contrast where on the Gunn side, Gunn was like, hey, I'm going to do my last Guardians of the Galaxy movie for you guys to just show you how to do an actual cohesive film with a narrative that actually works and people like. Boom, here it is. Cool. Now I'm out. Went to DC. And put his little building blocks in, right? The little television, do a little cartoon. Now he's doing movies. And all of it has a very distinctive like rollout that how he wants to do it. In Marvel, it's the exact opposite, right? All of a sudden, when they shelved the whole Kang thing, they're just like, oh, we're going to introduce who's going to play Dr. Doom. And they're like, surprise, it's RDJ. And all of us are like, okay, I guess. But going back to our money aspect, that's what it kind of comes down to. So when you really don't have a plan, and now you're just throwing everything with this kitchen sink, then we get all the announcements, right? Oh, we're gonna do basically a random multiverse-y type of thing, so we can bring in all the X people, and Channing Tatum was kind of cool in Deadpool. Let's bring him through in here. Hugh Jackman, you still got a couple mil left for you. Let's throw you in too. So we have this jumbled mess, and so then again, going back to marketing, how are you going to sell this? All you can sell it. I'm not saying all you can, but from one point of view, you're like what Dee said, you're just harping on these figures to bring your film across the thing, as opposed to showing us a narrative or telling us anything about it that could actually make people want to get excited about it that has no connection to it. Like you said, who is this film for?
I was wondering with the script, because if you start with the script, you have the narrative synopsis of what the story is, and the marketing then takes that and either use what you've already done, or they create a thematic equivalent to it, meaning they're showing you something, a taste, a piece of what these greater scope themes or story will be in the narrative. For example, the teaser for The Dark Knight, one of the best ones I've ever seen, where you have just the bat logo and you hear in the background Joker saying, starting tonight, people will die. I'm a man of my word, and him laughing. And then the bat symbol just kind of crumbling and breaking and until the actual symbol animates. And then you got The Dark Knight coming, 2007. But that is a piece of the story. It even established Joker as the anarchist villain that he is. They don't have that here. Now it's just like, oh, we'll show Steve Rogers with a baby, because the last thing we remember him doing was going to the timeline where he could be with Peggy. We're showing Thor with the daughter because that's the last thing where we left him off in Love and Thunder. But none of this says what it's going to be about. None of this tells us anything about, again, why we should care about this, aside from, about this, about them. Look who this is, and look what they're doing and all that. And that's all they got.
So to piggyback on some, first of all, I have very little to say about these teasers because there's nothing there. But to piggyback on something that D'Angelo alluded to probably about 10 pods ago, it's the over-reliance on nostalgia. The nostalgia of the last time we saw, like Dee just said, last time we saw Steve, this is what he was doing. Last time we saw Thor, this is what he was doing. And so playing off of that in the teasers, instead of saying exactly what Dee just said, to reiterate, we have a plan, we have a story. Even if you don't have a script, okay? Even if you don't have a script, if you have a story, an outline, you can then tease that the basics of that story and be able to give the audience something more than Steve had a baby, Thor still has a baby, Thor's praying, Steve's blinking goo-goo eyes with his kid, and they'll be back. And that's kind of it. So use that as a pivot point to the third leaked one that hasn't been released yet. That's probably the better of the three, in my opinion. I'm not just saying that because I'm an X-Men fan. So it's got, I forget, some sort of narration by Patrick Stewart, because of course. And then there's a shot replaying the chess match, the ongoing chess match between a decidedly aged Magneto and Professor Xavier in his wheelchair, using metal chess pieces. And, he says something, Magneto says something. And then the final shot is Scott yanking off his visor and going full screen, full blast with his optic blast. But again, as cool a visual, right? It's a dope visual, but you're not giving me nothing. I don't know. Look, so 3 teasers, and I have no clue what this movie is going to be about.
Listen, this is the premise as written on their official Wikipedia page. Okay. 14 months after the events of Thunderbolts, the Avengers, Wakandans, Fantastic Four, New Avengers, and the original, in quotes, the original X-Men team up to face Dr. Doom. That is literally the premise that they have on that on Wikipedia, which is like saying we're about to adapt a movie. We're about to create a movie that is about Marvel characters, the Avengers, X-Men, the Wakandans, Dr. Doom, and they're fighting Dr. Doom. That's it. Doesn't say anything else.
I'm curious.
And the trailers reflect that. Sorry, Kane.
That is paper thin.
I'm just curious on the backlash of the Kang flop, and was this a major part of the reason in this direction? And then the other thing,
it's the total reason. To answer that quickly, it's the total reason. They can't have Jonathan. They're not going to use Jonathan. Not they can't. They're choosing not to use Jonathan Majors anymore. And so without using him, they're not going to use Kang. And so the way that Loki season 2 ended is the end of the Kang arc.
Yeah, and the since the Final Fantasy, the Fantastic Four movie, it does seem to be around children now with these 2 trailers. The Easter egg ending of the Fantastic Four revolving around Reed Richards' son. So if I see more trailers with sons or family, I'm gonna assume that this is the arc that they're going based off the recent nuggets they've been dropping. I don't know the next trailer if they're gonna release a few trailers in the next month, but I'm throwing paint at the wall, but I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. And because these 2 trailers had kids, Fantastic Four had a kid being the main, I guess, MacGuffin of the movie, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then T'Challa's kid.
Yeah, T'Challa's kid.
And also you have the other thing is the younger actors that are in the MCU on this last tail end have a little bit more enthusiasm. So I can see them doing something with that. But kind of like what Dee said, because they are obtusely being vague about everything, but then also just playing on nostalgia. You're right. It's just paint at the wall at this point.
I will say this though. I will say this. If we weren't familiar with any of this, if this was like new, and they just said, hey, there's an Avengers movie coming out. We had no Marvel. This is the first thing that came. I would say, okay, this is cool. I don't know what's going on, but I'm interested to see it because we never saw it before. So that credit, I'd be like, all right, cool. Because sometimes trailers give too much,
What way would that work, though, in that light? Because both of those trailers are about people who you have to be familiar with in order for that to work. If you saw Thor Returns, you're like, returning from what? If we go with your scenario, if you haven't seen it and you're just seeing it for the first time, he's returning from
take what? That out of it. I'm just saying the because that's been a gimmick from Marvel. Thor returning, Hulk returns. I'm just saying based off the visual part, not the wording, the visual part, because it's not just the wording, Thor returns. That's my own personal gripe, but just the trailer itself visually still doesn't give me nothing. And I say that for me, it would work better if I wasn't familiar with none of the movies. I'd be like, all right, I'm kind of curious of what the direction it was going, because it doesn't reveal too much. One of my common gripes about trailers is they tell me too much of the story and I feel like I know the movie already. I'm not saying this trailer is perfect. I'm just saying if I was fresh and I've never watched any Marvel movies, or this was the first run of the Marvel and you saw a trailer of Captain America holding a kid, you're like, man, where are they going with this? Unless you're familiar with some type of comic lore, and you're going fresh into the movie, you would have no idea. And I'd be curious to watch a movie like that. However, that's not the way this works, because we are very familiar with 20 to 30 plus years of Marvel. We've seen all that we've seen, and we've gone and done the research and homework. So we kind of very familiarized with these characters, and we know what they may or potentially may do. And we're like wondering, again, this comes back to like, okay, why do we have Steve Rogers? Why do we have Wolverine back, Hugh Jackman, who said he was leaving the role? Why do we have all these characters? It comes down to money, comes down to no script, comes down to a failed plan with King. I think it's a culmination of a few things. Like, I don't think
it's been that way for a while. I don't honestly think they had a plan, even with Kang. You can see that with how the multiverse was playing out in the movies and the TV show across the board. There was no plan. There was no treatment that positioned Kang, and they said it. They admitted that the only reason that they went that direction is because they enjoy Jonathan Majors' performance in Loki season 1 that was the reason why they went that direction. So there was no script. There was no treatment. There was no plan.
And also, it speaks to the problem that the MCU has in terms of leadership or a guiding light of sorts. With the first couple Avengers movies, and with the individual movies, the first and second runs of the individual movies, they were arcing towards the first Avengers film, and Joss Whedon there were other directors and other writers, but Joss Whedon was sort of the guiding, like, these are the guardrails. This is how you need to position the character with the post-credit scene, things of that nature. Like he had a very specific vision, and their individual movies needed to arc lightly in the direction of eventually an Avengers film. Second film, same way. With the Russos, a little more loosely, but it was a similar, not the same level of guidance. James Gunn, same deal. Like he knew how to string together a narrative that was both individual but also arced towards whatever the next thing was. And you don't have any of that. Like, there's nothing that is pointing you towards, none of phase 5. I think we're in phase 5, phase 6, whatever the hell we are.
And I would say that quickly is and they treated, the quick history is Iron Man was their salvo. If that shit flopped, none of this would have happened. It actually did well, so they greenlit the next 2 movies. By the third movie that dropped, that's when Disney bought the whole joint, right? And so the way they did their phases, they built it like they did it in comic books, right? They have an overarching editor, and all the writers talk to that editor, like, hey, what's your idea? These are my ideas. Editor's like, yes, no, run with that. Take this character, put him over there. Cool. And so like goes back to, they had an overarching narrative, and like there's a editor running the bullpen. Once Endgame ended, and then everything else that came after, COVID, this and that, they really never really established that back again. And they got high on their own supply, thinking that they could just kind of, hey, you know what? These TV shows are cheaper, and we can just throw them on Disney Plus. Cool. We'll just bank out a bunch of them. And that kind of broke a lot of their overall structure of how they did things previously. And I honestly think
remember where you are. Remember where you are and what you're saying. Does anybody have a TV show that they've done yet that they consider it to be good?
In Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Daredevil.
Daredevil was good to you?
The first Daredevil?
No. I'm talking about the current iteration of Marvel TV.
Oh,
on Disney.
Yeah, not counting Netflix. It's all Apple.
Yeah, not the Netflix shows.
Okay, yeah, so I would say Loki season 1. I could put that as good. I can say that. I can say it as a solid.
I like Loki season 1. So
yeah, I like it too.
Season 2 was a whole different story.
Yeah, I can't really say good for the rest of them. They're passable or enjoyable.
But I was gonna say the rest of them.
Yeah, they're not.
I'm gonna say none of them. Not even Loki. I liked season 1 of Loki, but as a TV show, I did not think it was good. Story.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was sold to me as a limited movie, a TV movie, it worked extremely well. But as a TV show, it didn't work. That's just my opinion. But I could point out why it didn't work as a TV show, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But I think that's a good point where, like, going back to what Josh was saying, right? Has anything been good since? And it's like, no. Like, all of it has been a jumbled mess of nostalgia, a couple nice swings here and there, some nostalgia again, maybe a little good. Like, everything had good, maybe pieces of good, but not nothing that I could say, hey, this is a good movie, right? I enjoyed
some. Had good starts. Some of them had really good starts. WandaVision had a good start. Loki season 1 had a good start. That might be record, because
I like WandaVision. I actually liked it, so I found it enjoyable.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but I liked Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Oh well, I liked. Both of those I liked to a certain point. And the same with Hawkeye. I liked probably to about the midway point, and then the way it sort of finishes, I'm just like, why did I waste time?
Episode 3 is where it lost me.
Honorable mention to Echo. Echo was cool. I feel like
I completely
forgot about that.
Why do you hate Native Americans? The three of you, God.
If you want to make it about that, then yeah. But I'll wear that. But it was decent. It wasn't great. It was decent. It was okay.
And I'll say the same thing. I'll say the same thing with Miss Marvel. Like I watched that with my mom, like the whole season, and like it was just Marvel CW, right? And it's not for us. It was literally for that younger demographic. And yeah, like likable character, easy breezy narrative. None of us need to watch that show, but it wasn't bad per se. But you're right. There's nothing that we could say like. Everything is like, oh, I like pieces of it or I enjoyed things about it, but there's nothing you can say was good. And I think that's been a good consistentness of even when Daredevil came back. Like I was watching first 4 episodes of just nonsense and then finally started going. I'm like, oh, okay, it's getting there.
Matlock. We watched.
Thank you. Exactly.
I just want to exactly Matlock. Matlock Redux with the
Matlock Murdoch.
Yeah, Matlock Murdoch. But no, I was gonna say, I think we gave the MCU too much credit from the beginning, which is to say that they admitted that a lot of the stuff that they did in the first few phases was not a part of some grand plan that they set out on. These were things that became happy accidents. Iron Man worked. Even the post-credit scene was not something that they had sat down and thought about and planned. John fought, he had the idea. Sam Jackson was available. He came to set that day. They shot the scene. That was it. So that was the standard that they had and that they have had. Even if it worked for them for a very long time, that is the standard. And that's what James Gunn was pointing to when he said, that standard only worked to a certain point. They hit a threshold, but they can't recognize that and they keep doubling down on that. But there was never a master plan for Marvel, even with the idea of, okay, you got the Infinity Stones here. You can throw an Infinity Stone in there. That's just seeding it. And that's what I would give them credit for. They gardened and seeded a lot of stuff really well. And they were able to go back and then, circle back to it and develop it further. But now they need somebody to outline an actual narrative path for them that includes the characters they want to introduce and write some freaking scripts.
Yeah, and also I think the last thing they had of that was Gunn prior to being fired, because that's when he got fired from Disney. This is right around Black Panther. When Black Panther dropped, he got fired around that. But before he got fired, he turned in his Guardians of the Galaxy 3 script, and he gave out his narrative arcs for the next phase. It was supposed to be all cosmic, and that's what it's supposed to be: Galactus and Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, Novas, da 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 da. So that was the rough thing. But once that was out the window, you're right. They just never really had another person to come in and be like, "All right, guys, here's our narrative arc. Here's the characters we're going to introduce. Here's our legacy we're going to bring in. These are the pieces that we're going to roll." They didn't sit down and do that. And by getting high on their own supply and COVID and everything else, they're kind of like, oh, we'll just print this money as we can for a little bit and then keep it moving.
So what's the rest of your making timeline? Lots of money.
What's the rest of your timeline, Cam? I interrupted you earlier, but I definitely think there's a value for whoever's watching to sort of go through the rest of the timeline.
Yeah, like basically once Endgame dropped, you had a rough. After Endgame dropped, around that time is when COVID happens, right? So then our next timeline from that is all the TV shows, and then we got a spattering of shows. That's when
forget the Black Widow.
They acquired Fox. The Black Widow nonsense. They acquired Fox. They acquired. They got all their stuff back from Sony, or they got a partnership with Sony for Spider-Man. So then, I would say since Endgame, to be fair, the Spider-Man movies were the enjoyable bright spot of the last Marvel-ish, right? It's like from a consistent point, right? at least that was a good bright spot out of the jumbleness of mess, basically. But with that being said, you're like you said, just like what D said, they're just they ain't even telling us, but they're showing us they have no narrative arc and they have no like idea. And so now they're just going back on nostalgia. And, you know, even us, we watched Fantastic Four. There was parts that we enjoyed. It was whatever. But like in general, there's nothing where there was a little bit of a nostalgia. You know, Deadpool Wolverine was 99% nostalgia. So without nostalgia, I don't know what else they
hollow
have.
Now. They used to feel very lived in and vibrant, and like you can imagine Tony Stark even if he wasn't in the movie. Now it just feels very narrow and very hollow, and without even the Fantastic Four, I'm like, we don't have a sense of what their world is and what they like. We immediately thrown into the Galactus conflict. We don't get like, and the only villain they give us that isn't Galactus or other adversary is Mole Man, which is a joke. Like this is we're talking about a joke villain here, not somebody that is actually we're gonna think about in terms of the bigger picture. Exactly. In terms of a threat or something that you can connect to why he's there and what makes him such a challenge for the Fantastic Four. They should have done exactly what they were trying to do, but from a weak ass perspective with Fantastic Four, which is a restart. Start from fresh. Remember, I said this about X-Men. I said the best thing they could do for X-Men is to start fresh, not acknowledge any of the other MCU continuity. Give us the X-Men world by itself, introduce those characters, and build from there. Same thing with the Fantastic Four. The same thing with Blade. Build. You don't have to reset it. Just give us a narrow look into these worlds, this corner of the world. You could even do a period piece for X-Men and go back to the 60s and retcon it not.
That's what the First Class. Yeah, that's what First Class said. I mean, even and to that credit, that's what Superman did, right? Superman just dropped you in. Hey, this is the Superman character. This is the world that he inhabits. You're starting to see some pieces over here, some pieces over there, some stuff in the back, but we're going to keep it moving. And that's what it was. And for Superman, it actually worked where and it worked in that fashion. And then they kind of just let that go. So, you know, to wrap it, because, you know, like I said, we could complain about this all the time. I'm back to what Cam said. Like, we watched it. If there's a bunch of kids, maybe we'll get Young Avengers or something. They got Riri and Miss Marvel and Ant-Man's kid around there too. So there's a bunch of young teenagers running around. That could be something. That could be fun.
They've done nothing with them.
I was gonna say I'm 100% sure we're gonna get another A-Force combo kind of deal with all the kids.
Guaranteed. They're gonna pop up and we're gonna be like, now you were who, child? And you were
exactly.
Yeah,
and you were who, child? It's gonna be like in the Bible where this person.
They're gonna do exactly the same thing that they did in Endgame, where they got all the women together and all of that, and they're gonna have all the youngsters together. Guaranteed, they're gonna duplicate that. Put money.
Lord have mercy. All right, well, we'll end it there. Yeah, as you can tell, I guess we'll see it. I mean,
hey, I've already told you it's coming out at the same time as Dune. Now, we can do two. We can do more than one, but I'm just saying, I am going to see Dune Messiah over Doomsday. So that's just I've already made that choice.
End up seeing them both, but
Josh is rich. He's dropping all that money on the movie tickets back to back. He gonna drop $80 that weekend just to see.
I do not know about
between Doomsday and Doom Messiah.
I watched Dune on IMAX, and I watched Doomsday on a regular one.
Oh yeah,
difference.
No reason to see both an IMAX.
Matinee.
There you go, Cam. Matinee.
Wow.
Yes, $8. That's as much as Marvel's getting out of me for this. Is they'll be lucky if they get $8 on a matinee.
Lucky if I don't sell the seeds, but that's another talk for another day.
Right? But yeah, thanks for rocking with us. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, follow, and all that goodness. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know, we'll be back talking about this some more. So you know what it is. But